Okay, so my name is Julia Ivkovich.
My name is Grace Kruger.
And we are we interned for the last 2 weeks here at Build Westville. And yeah, so present we're presenting on our past 2 weeks at our internship. And we're sorry that we can't be there in person, but we're really glad that we still get to present.
So, first, we just wanted to say thank you to Build Westville for having us. And so, today we are going to be sharing all the things that we learned and the important takeaways from our 2 week internship.
Okay, and every group we got to shadow under will be included in this presentation, and we will talk just a little bit about like the effects and the teachings of each and overall what we learned, like big ideas.
So, our first day was site management with Keith, Brad, Rick, and Brandon. And we started out our day at the PM meeting, and then we went out onto the site. We had a meeting with Eric Elliott, and then we went around and we checked out different structures and buildings, including H3, H4, and the ground near S4. And our takeaways for that was mine was communication is crucial to this project. It ensures smooth operations, fosters teamwork, and prevents errors.
And then my takeaway was you can't just run a job site from an office. Um, that can be pretty clear, pretty like easy takeaway, but like you have to actually go out and interact with others to ensure that the job is getting done efficiently, and properly, like what Brad did. He would go out and he would actually show us. So then the day after, we had quality assurance. That was with Zach Thornton. So first we joined the QA/QC meeting and learned all about like the necessary checks that we have to do in different buildings, and overall. And then after that, Zach took us around to do multiple different quality checks. We did footing and rebar checks in H5. We looked at electrical and outlets in A2, and then we looked at faulty plumbing insulation in S1. And then our takeaways. So my takeaway is that teamwork is vital. Um, Especially when you need four different layout plans to complete quality checks. And we learned that when we were out with the quality assurance group.
My takeaway was attention to detail is essential. Everything needs to be checked with precision. And then the next thing we did was being an owner's representative. And for that, we were with Andrew and Jack. And for this, we started off our day with attending an OAC meeting. We listened into a meeting about the progress and plans for H4. Next, we went out to the job site, checked A1, S1, and S2 buildings. We inspected a safety issue with the electrical fence on the roof and learned about all the different rooms as well. And then finally, we ended with a very long meeting about locks and keys with Officer Boots. And my takeaway for this was owners reps are essential. In order for a project this size to be successful, you need owners representatives. They are a huge piece of this puzzle.
And then my takeaway is that not only do the building companies need to be represented and just like, oh, Build Westville needs to be like shown throughout these buildings. Garmong, Granger, they need to be shown, F.A. Wilhelm, but also like the owner needs to be represented as you go through an important build like that, and they have to have their needs met. And that's where owners reps come in, and they're very important.
And we also just wanted to say a special thank you to Andrew and Jack for taking the time to deeply and thoroughly explain literally every single detail, including meeting discussions, rooms in the buildings, and the overall lingo and how the job functions. So, thank you.
Okay, and then we have building a mental health building. We walked around with Patrick Hardbeck and Tony Anderson. So first, Pat took the time to walk us all around M1 and H4, including the roof, the plumbing and electrical, and the different cells and outdoor recreation. Tony also joined us as we walked around H4 and explained the different levels of subcontractors and the importance of scheduling them on time. Pat also then explained the schedule for their meetings and the different items that they cover in their team three meetings. And then we have our takeaways. So my takeaway is that though offenders are criminals, they still need to be treated like people and given the proper treatment for their conditions. So basically the idea of like offenders are people too.
And my takeaway was the amount of differences there are, like how many differences there are from a general population building to compared to a mental health facility. For example, all the special details and items like the skylights and the chalkboards.
And then also, again, in addition, we really wanted to thank Pat for taking the time to direct us all around M1 and H4 buildings. Pat showed us almost every single nook and cranny of those buildings, every single square inch, and his team's buildings, and explained everything thoroughly and nicely for us to understand. We appreciate the effort that he put into helping us learn about M1 and H4, and yeah, just taking the time to help us.
The next thing was women in construction. For this, we were with Peggy and Cheryl. They taught us all about the online work that they do, including bonds, insurance, registering companies, invoices, waivers, and more. Peggy explained her non-accounting related jobs like the dumpsters and porta potties. She also explained her part in organizing company outings, lunches, and listening into the PM meetings and taking notes. They finally showed us what it is like for women in construction and the improvement there has been since much earlier on. And my takeaway was, though it might seem behind the scenes, it makes the job continue on. Peggy and Cheryl do so many things throughout their day, and everything they do is extremely important.
And then my takeaway was that these women do some of the hardest jobs. The women here, at construction and especially in the Build Westville, like department, are so humble for the work that they do. Like they're doing all the nasty stuff, the paperwork, invoices, stuff that nobody else would probably want to do, and they're doing it with a smile on their face and just being so humble about it. And it was super cool to watch them be able to do that. Okay, so then we have vocational services and correctional facilities. So we were with Hunter Denton, Garrett Brand, Don Kelly, and Jacob Dale. So we joined in an OAC meeting first in the morning and listened in to conversations taking place. Then afterward, Don Kelly took us to several buildings on the job site to see their progress. We went to R1 and R2 and checked the status of that building. Then we went to A2 and inspected the progression, just how it was going overall. A4, we watched more rebar getting put up, so just getting to see more of that in action. And then S4, we examined the doorways and the walls. Afterward, we went with Garrett Brand to A2, where we were going to check the wall next to the loading bay. And then takeaways, my takeaway was the importance of being involved. Basically, it's critical that no matter what your job is or what you do, that you're still inserting yourself into the project and the job site and being noticed. Like you're still there. Your insight matters and it is important.
And my takeaway is attention to detail is everything. For example, Don was able to scan a room and pick out tiny little things that could affect the project and knew exactly what needed to be done to fix it. And then last, we did safety on a mega project, and we were with John Sadi and James Powell. And we started off our day by getting a rundown of what the day in the life of a safety manager is. They explained the protocols necessary when writing with the safety group. Then John and James took us into a different building and showed us the safety protocols they have to go through when scanning and dealing with unsafe situations. Finally, they brought us back to the safety trailer and showed us how they fill out safety audits, incident reports, and disciplinary reports. And my takeaway was the safety team may seem like the bad guy, but they really just want everyone to get home safely.
And then my takeaway for this one was that everybody's personality is different. When you're out on the job and you're trying to be safety people, you have to approach everybody in a different way because they're not always going to get it and interpret it the same. So when dealing with safety, you got to treat everybody a little bit different.
And we also wanted to give a shout out to Kat. We want to take the time to personally thank her. She really took us under her wings and took the time to teach us every little thing there was. We really appreciate how she didn't expect us to know absolutely anything. She took the time to tell us exactly what everything meant. For example, we now know that BTR means budget transfer request.
Not only did she help teach us, but she also let us invade her office space for the entire 2 weeks and work there every single day, even though we were super annoying. She also let us get awesome t-shirts and overall just made it a really comfortable experience for us. So yeah, we just wanted to thank Kat and help let everybody know how much we appreciate her. So yeah, thank you so much, Kat.
Thank you.
So, then we're gonna just go over like the biggest lesson learned, the main thing that we took away. So mine is that basically this is one team made of 52 people, but nothing gets done and there is no progress if there's no communication. I watched and I learned that throughout my 2 weeks that without the teams communicating to each other and owners reps also communicating to these teams, that this project cannot be completed. It's necessary that everyone works together and listens to each other.
So my biggest lesson learned is every single role is important. Whether it's an owner's rep, a welder, or an inspector, each person's role is essential. For example, a QA watches and prevents costly mistakes, and superintendents keep hundreds of tasks on track. These are very different roles, and they are so very important in their own way. My biggest lesson is big successes are built on contributing, big or small, from everyone.
Okay, and then we're going to talk a little bit about skills I gained. So, skills that I gained. So this internship has showed me the importance of good work ethic and how essential it is to do everything the best that you can. This helps not only your future self and you, but also all of those around you and all those who are affected by your work. I've realized the importance of effective time management, and I think it will benefit me in my future as I work hard in school. And in my passions and extracurricular activities that I pursue.
And I had a couple skills gained, and something I saw a lot of first was communication. In this job, I learned how to talk clearly with people from different roles and backgrounds. Another thing was teamwork. This job shows working towards a shared goal, even when responsibilities are very different. And then adaptability. I saw that this job shows adjusting when plans change due to weather, supply delays, or design updates.
Okay, and then finally, we're just going to talk about like what we didn't know or like something that we figured like learned. So before this internship, I had no idea how much planning and time goes into a job site getting done. Honestly, before this, I just thought that you built the item and it was over, but it's way more than that. There has to be owners, reps chosen, then architects come in, project engineers are dragged in and help design the build, then contractors and subcontractors are bidded for and chosen, and finally, then the job actually gets built and done. But there is so much more that has to be done for a project than what I initially imagined.
And before this internship for me, I didn't know just how many roles there were. I knew there were contractors and engineers and superintendents, but there are so many other roles that I did not realize were a thing. For example, how many different subcontractors there are? I just assumed you would hire a team and they would just build it. But there are actually so many specialists on this job that are highly trained to do what they do and make it the best they can, which is extremely essential to a project this scale.
But yeah, so thank you guys so much for this opportunity. It was so great.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.